So then he went out with his talk and his offer and was actually able to help lots of people at the same time. In this particular case, he did 2 talks, made $67,500 in revenue when 27 people of his audience became Financial Joy members. So if you're, have that kind of business and you can't even imagine how you could go from one-on-one to one-to-many, you will see a lot of illuminations on our campus. That's really what we're up to. So live stages is an example. This is Linda Allred, and Linda was, her husband was aging. She realized she really needed to make some changes because she still had a long way to go. And she had lost a lot of weight and kept it off, so she came into the program, created her virtual Weight Off Now program. Like me needing to be home with my kids, she needed to be home with her husband. So she did it through a teleseminar. You can see in the blue box. She did an online launch using just what we were talking about, Terry, a teleseminar. And this doesn't happen all the time, but with Linda, she followed it to the T. On her first time out, she made $30,000 on her virtual Weight Off Now program. What I love about Linda is that when she started with me 3 years ago, she was 72. Right? Awesome. Moving. So that's a teleseminar webinar example of how you could use your talk and your offer. Robbie Kramer, came out of corporate, but had this passion to teach men how to flirt. He just had so many friends that could not get that down, or they were using like the cheesy pickup artist style. It wasn't his thing. He's heart-centered like us. Went at it, and just wasn't happening. He had great information, but it wasn't happening. Anybody else, they love you, but they don't buy from you, like you give good stuff. This was Robbie. So he decided, maybe this is a more personal conversation. And I talked to some of you who are helping people with cures to cancer and, more personal. I have a client who helps people that, have suffered with clergy abuse. I mean, not everybody's going to run to the back for an order form, right, with all the topics. So he decided with this that he would take it and use his talk to get one-on-one conversations. So he's changed his model and started doing that. And within a year, he had over 50 clients in his men's mastermind, did $250,000 of sales using speaking to meetup groups. That's a free website, meetup.com. You guys should write it down. You can find your people, your groups there, and go do free talks. They're dying for people who are ready. So he used his Speak to Sell talk for one-on-one appointments. And for those of you who may be in chiropractic or in-office practices, you can use this to have one-on-one in-office appointments show up too. We've got cosmetic laser clinics, all kinds of doctors using this model, okay? And then this last one, I just love this. This is, you may know Jeff Moore. He runs an awesome company called Wild Things Seafood. They deliver like restaurant quality steak and lobster and things right to your door. So he was already a client. He says, my wife, Dori, my wife has been a college counselor at a men's high school. So she's the advisor when you want to go to college. It's an all-boys high school. You want to go to college, she's the advisor. She's been there 26 years. 26 years. He said, I just feel like she's got something. She has so much expertise. People suffer about this. It's such a turning point for people. He said, I just asked her if she'd do your program. So she came out to one of our live programs and studied the virtual program. And she decided, I'm going to see if I can help people further beyond their little hour appointment they get. So she invited 12 moms to her home. And Jeff knew there was something there, and she trusted him. So she invites 12 moms to her home. She makes a $997 offer to really walk them through the process of getting the college app filled out. And her bonus, this is an example of not needing a lot, but something related. Her bonus is they could come back on a Saturday all together, one day, and sit at her kitchen table, and they would fill out the application line by line together to make sure they got it right. She had 12 women, $997. Guess how many she sold, or $995? 12. All of them. $12,000. First time. Practice. It was her practice run. Now it's a $3,000 program, and here's the best part. She still works at the school. They love it. They send her people. They didn't know what to do with that overflow. You guys getting this? Can you see that you have something to offer, and it's just about packaging it, pricing it, getting it out there? You could sit on it forever, or you can create a legacy. Now she can record it. This work will go on. We need to do this. We need to do this. So now I'm willing to show you the formula. Can you guys find yourself here? Yeah, so now it makes sense. And there's 5 steps. I'll go through them real quick. By the way, I ended up getting to do some TV. What I love about the formula is even if you never plan to get on stage and do a whole talk from start to finish, you can use the pieces I'll show you now. Like, I used the positioning, one of the I think it's the second step, the 5 Ps to position myself, position the offer, position the audience. You know, there's 5 things, and you can do it in like 5 to 10 minutes. Well, I use that on the news, right? So even if you never do your whole talk, just the pieces, all the things you'll learn, you'll use on your website, you'll use with, you know, standing up at a networking group. You didn't know they were going to call on you. You've got to stand up. It works. So here it is, straight out of the Speak to Sell virtual bootcamp. This is our 5-step process, and simultaneously, this is also my invitation. These are the modules that we would walk through together. You'd walk through them virtually on your own time. They're done, you know, you get online, there's a video, a webinar, or you can read it, you can do audio. We have all the learning styles covered. You can do the worksheet. And then you jump on the phone with me, and we have a group call on that module where you get your questions answered, plus you get to hear the questions of other people, kind of things you didn't even think to ask. So it works really well. We've been teaching this for over 6 years, and we have over 6,000 graduates. So the first step that you need to do, I hope you come do it with me, but even if you do it on your own, I just want to give it to you today, is the offer. And that's why we started there today. And why would we start at the offer when it tends to come at the end of the talk? Thank you. Begin with the end in mind. Mwah. That's right. We call it reverse engineering. That's another great way to say it. Everything you do, and I want you to think about this for your books, your chapters, you always want to be thinking about the end in mind. Where do I want this to leave someone? What is the action that would really empower their transformation? So develop your offer and the words to express it. So we've touched that today. That's the first step. You have a big sense of that and a really strong roaring start with your main dish, your bonus, your limiters, right? We take it further in the course. So now that we've got the end in mind, we know where the train is going to pull into the station. Now we go back, and now we reverse engineer the body of the talk. So now we decide, what are we going to talk about now that we know where it's going? And you know, I think one of the biggest challenges is that a lot of folks who do want to have courses, seminars, trainings, get people into their practice, their business, take courses more about keynoting and presentation skills, which are really important, but the content really needs to come from what's the offer going to be? How does the content serve the offer? And then after that, it's great to figure out where you're going to stand and, you know, how to hold the mic, all of which you can see I have not learned. But get out there with your heart, and people give you a little space, right? So reverse engineer the body of the talk, and that is the big lesson here in number 2, is that from this module and from what you're learning today even, you'll start to look at everything that way. And I love getting my hands on you if you're just getting started, because wouldn't it be amazing if we could build the website that way, if we could write the book that way, if we could make sure the course, that everything you do is built, I love how she said it, built with the end in mind. So reverse engineering, that's the key phrase there, okay? So you start with the offer, then you reverse engineer the body of the talk. And by the way, we have a secret way. Anybody here, you just kind of back up the truck and give away the whole store, right? Like the people are, their eyes are rolling back in their head, and you're like, oh man, I gave away too much again. I'll never see that person again. So one of the magical things we do in the body of the talk is we figure out exactly which piece you should give, and all the rest that you'll show them comes later, like I'm doing with you now. Okay? And one of the things in the program that, was it Yvette? Victoria. One of the things in the program that Victoria got, there's 2 trainings in here, and the second one is about what's called your unique branded system. What are the steps that you use to get the results you get? And we'll figure out exactly what step you give away in your talk. But the first thing is figuring out what's your system in the first place. And this is our system to help you find your system. That's why we call it the essential groundwork sales accelerator, because you got to do that first. And we do that in our course. Okay. So then the third step to your Speak to Sell talk, and I mean, Rick is such an expert, I'm sure that you must have talked about this some during lunch. You guys talk a little bit about positioning yourself, right? At least that's what my table mates told me. So we've got the offer, then we figured out what's the body, what am I going to teach, what am I going to talk about, because we want this to be a content-rich talk. I've had people pay me $23,000 to come do my Speak to Sell talk, because it's so content-rich, like a keynote. It's so content rich. And then we go back to the beginning and we say, well, how am I going to open? What's my first 10 minutes? And that's what I used on the news. That's what you could use at a networking group. This is how do you position you. And here's a tip, okay? Kind of give you a little ditty from each one. Of course, we all know we need to position for credibility. Why are we the one they should be learning from? Like, I'm not going to pretend you don't already know that. But the one most people leave out is vulnerability. You've got to also position, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you spending your life on this? Did you overcome something? Did you lose 100 pounds and keep it off? Were you fired from your job, your dream job on Christmas Eve like I was? Wondering what you were going to do with a newborn and a 3-year-old? So those things need to come out, and we'll show you what to use that will draw people in, connect them to you, versus the things that are not necessarily going to lead to their transformation, what you're really up to. I mean, look, you can call it, we call it speak to sell, but let's face it, if you don't make your offer, no one's going to transform, right? Transformation only happens when people make a decision, a yes or a no. And so this is really about you setting yourself up to have that happen. And then this is so fun. This is my favorite, and you'll use this all over your life and your business. After we build the talk, we've got the offer, the body, the positioning, what you say in that first 10 minutes. Then we go back and we seed the talk. We sprinkle the seeds. And here's the lesson around seeding. Seeding is creating hunger and desire in your audience without being pushy or salesy. And we show you 9 different ways to do that. Anybody want one now? You got a little space? Yes. All right, here's one. It's really simple, really powerful. You'll hear that a lot in our courses. Mention your clients. Do you know how many talks I go to? I saw a guy talking on like a state, like setting up your entities, your business entities. He spoke for an hour and a half. Great information. You know, a little bit older, I thought, well, maybe this is just his give back to the world during his retirement. He never said, when I work with people, or this client did this, or this one was an S-Corp, and look what happened because we turned her into an LLC. No mention of a client. You know, so you scratch your head and you wonder, does he take clients? Maybe he's a volunteer. And, you know, you're laughing, but I see this every day. So when I tell you about, you know, Brian Tracy being, you know, there healing with the Speak to Sell virtual boot camp, or Doreen, Jeff's wife, coming to our live event of the Speak to Sell boot camp, it's seeding that we have those things. So we'll show you 9 different ways to do that are really just a matter of the awareness. You put them in, totally change your results, your income, your freedom, everything. You know, the difference that you're here to make, the big is the most important. And then the last part, you know, this is called transitioning to your offer. You could call it making the ask, making the sale, the offer, the last part, the last 5 minutes. A lot of people think of it like. And this is where heart-centered people like us, we get right up there to the edge of the diving board, and we're gonna do it. And we say, you know what? I'll just give them my website. I'll just hand them my business card. Let me just give you my book. And we don't make the irresistible offer with the limiter and the bonus. But when you know how to do it, when you have the structure, just as easy it is to mention your clients, then you do. You make your offer, and it doesn't feel weird because you do the step after that. You justify the offer. You tell them why you're making it. You're like, we always give special pricing when I speak to a group that is invested to be there. You drove here, you spent the day, you invested money. Many of you are going to, you know, have invested in the next 3 days that are coming up. We acknowledge that. That's my justification for why when people say yes to our offer on the spot that have invested, we invest in them, right? And we'll show you how to look for your reason that you would do that to your ideal client audience. Why would you give that? So all meant to be very authentic and fitting for you, feeling good. So that is the Speak to Sell Signature Talk formula. Now, for those that would like to work with me to take it further with us, just so you know, we obviously can't go over everything today, but we also teach you things like how do you close delayers, people who tell you they have to think about it, talk to their spouse, balance their checkbook, lead collection. Sometimes you're not allowed to make an offer. Why would you go anyway? Maybe you can collect the lead and then maybe invite them to a teleseminar, and you can make an offer on your own campus. So we show you how to do all those things. Retaining sales for events so people don't get cold feet. One of my favorites is that every event I go to, we turn it into 2 or 3 more. But you gotta pre-think that. It doesn't just happen. But what if you didn't have to in between be scouring for the next opportunity? What if it came from the speaker, the host, the audience that you're already speaking to? You'd be busy all the time. So we'll show you our system for that, literally just kind of fill in the blank templates, how to transition your talk into teleseminars and webinars, and so much more. Now, you gotta remember, I built all this as a busy mommy. I still am one. We're dealing with Common Core math right now. So I just want you to know my life is real. I'm looking for a tutor. So you might ask, Lisa, I'm busy, you're busy. How can you show me all of this, craft my offer, reverse engineer my talk, position myself, seed, make my offer without being pushy or salesy, all those things you said? Is it gonna feel like I'm drinking from the fire hose? No. We actually have it all dialed in for you to be able to learn from anywhere, anytime, on your own schedule. Again, it's the Speak to Sell virtual boot camp. Whether you're interested in stages, teleseminars, webinars, video. Here's how it works. First, you get our pre-training. In fact, no joke, I have Armando with me. Hey, Armando. Right after we finish, right out the door there, you might have seen us setting up on the tables just right there, right outside the foyer. We give you our pre-course accelerator training. So there's the one that I talked about that Victoria got, where we show you the system to find your system. And it's all in this. And we brought 18, just figuring that's high to life, l'chaim. It's a really lucky number, so that's my happy number today. And then the first thing you'll find in there, oh, by the way, inside is you can literally start right away. The worksheet, the audio, video, it's all in a little USB. So if you have a flight home, right, you want to get going, you can do that right away. It'll help you if you're going into the 3-day to do this part. This is the words to communicate what you do. You can do this exercise with 40 minutes and 1 worksheet, and people who've been struggling for like 10 years find the words so that their mother-in-law can understand what